All right. Good morning, noodlers. It is 8:30 a.m. on Tuesday. No, I'm sorry, on New Up Day, January 12th, 2015. And I want to welcome everybody this morning to the Sala House Wholesale Real Estate Training number 69. And this is where wholesalers are built, and I'm going to say good morning to John, and let's get this thing rolling.
Good morning, Paul. Hey, you look really good. I like your hair this morning. It looks nice. Anyways, yes, welcome to Happy New Op Day. I'm glad Paul remembered that. I was anticipating that he wouldn't, so I could remind him, but I didn't get that opportunity because he's got a better memory than I. So yes, it's New Op Day, brand new beginning of a whole brand new week, and I absolutely love New Op Days, as I say. So welcome. And I think that we're going to have an action-packed, fun-filled adventure for you today. I'm real excited to just congratulate Mark on a freaking job well done. I like to take these first couple minutes of each hangout just to kind of report on what our noodlers are doing and having success with. And he found a buy. Not only did he get his first deal under contract on Wednesday last week, he also found a buyer over the weekend by doing exactly the methods we talked about on Friday on how to market for buyers. He found one from a Craigslist ad who paid about $7,000 more than what we anticipated on ultimately selling this property for, and they will be in escrow today, and we will be doing an assignment. And another thing that's wonderful about that is we will have that deposit immediately released to us. So congratulations, Mark, because we're going to have a payday probably tomorrow morning.
Well, a little bit of a twist on that, actually, John. Some news information you haven't gotten yet. Uh, good and bad, or bad and good, however you want to look at it. Mark's buyer pulled out. Uh,
Oh,
but
why?
Well, hold on. Before I get into that, Mark, when I ran into him yesterday afternoon, what's the first thing he says? Because when we got this buyer, when this buyer came in, right? Mark gave me a call and told me how much they wanted to pay, and I was like, okay. And they were like all excited. They wanted to put up some money and get this thing locked up and blah blah blah. And I was telling them, they don't have to do that. They can open escrow on Monday. They were worried that we were going to sell to somebody else. And I was like, no, we'll hold it for them, but let me double check with John to, make sure that we're all in agreement with the sale price and all that, and we'll give them the assurance that we're not going to sell it until Monday, and we'll get the contracts out and all of that. And so we finally got that all organized there, and as soon as Mark told this buyer that basically it's a lock, it's theirs. Like within an hour after that, he got a call from another buyer offering to pay $2,000 more. So yesterday he calls me, and his original buyer, has backed out for personal reasons, family emergency. So I mean, we can understand that. I mean, I think he said they had to. I think he said they flew out of town yesterday. So obviously they weren't going to be here to open escrow today. They were like, hey, I think I'll probably be gone for a week if you can hold it for me till next week. And we're obviously, immediately we were like, hey, listen, we got to get this thing sold and locked up. And they're like, hey, I understand, but if it's still available when I get back, we'll take it. So it's like, it's an unavoidable situation. It's not something that they didn't like the property or whatever. There's an outside circumstance that pulled them away, that they're going to be unable to open escrow this morning. But as I said, bad news, good news. Our Mark's original buyer is gone. Good news, he can go to the backup buyer now, and we can contract a guy for $2,000 more.
Can I ask you a question? Is that the contract that you were putting together last night is for this new buyer?
No, that was for the original. It was right about the time that I finished up with that one that he told me that that the buyer canceled.
So is his new buyer going to be opening escrow today?
I don't know about today. I don't know if he's even talked to him yet today. This was late last night, so I don't know if he's gone back to the second buyer yet or not. Haven't followed up with him yet, so I don't know anything as of this point. We'll find that out after we get done here.
All right, excellent. I hope because I just was in between our last hangout and this hangout. I was just sending a message over to title to give them a heads up that a buyer would be coming into open escrow today. So I hope that that's still going to take place.
We'll see.
All right. Well, hey, you know what? Sometimes one door closes and an even better opportunity comes opening another door. So, hey, $2,000 more, I like that even better. So, hopefully, it's a serious guy and he'll make a move. Now, before we get into today's program, so to speak, I want to ask you one more question, Paul. Did the guy see the property yet?
I don't know. I didn't actually talk to Mark. He just sent me a text. So,
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Anyways, I'll toss it back over to you, and why don't you get the ball rolling today, and we'll go from there.
well, I don't know where we're going. So, we talked about Friday. We talked about selling a deal, and we got through basically the first five steps you really want to put in place to start selling your deal, especially if you're new in the business here. If you're experienced, if you're seasoned a little bit more, some of these steps you may or may not do. You might have the availability, as John and I do, to pretty much kind of pick up the phone, make a few phone calls, and pretty much have any one of your properties sold in a matter of minutes. But we still do these things because even for us, it's just a way to add some more names and numbers to the buyers list that might be the next person that we pick up the phone and call. And so we pretty much kind of do this on every property that we get. And so what we went through was step one, being that obviously the first thing you're going to do the first thing you're going to do obviously is get your property under contract. But once you got ink on the paper, and of course some of these things depend on the terms of your contract, of course. But I'll touch on that when we get to those. So the first thing obviously that you're going to do is you need to have some pictures, maybe even a video. We skipped that. You might want to take a video walkthrough of the property, and of course you want to get a key to the property and get your lockbox on the property so that if you do have a buyer, you don't have to pull away from your day, drive out there, meet somebody, yada, yada, yada. You can say, hey, here's the address, here's the lockbox code, go take a look. Now, of course, if you have a property that still has somebody living in it, that's a little bit different situation. We're basically talking about properties where there's nobody living in it right now. We'll cover occupied properties on another time. So for right now, so those are the very first thing you want to do. We talked about how the second thing that you can do, and these next three can kind of be done in any order. But we talk about how we always go to a website called postlets.com, and we make a nice little flyer there that actually gets posted up onto Zillow.com, which is a big real estate website if you're not familiar with that. And it automatically posts your flyer that you create to Zillow.com, as well as I'm not exactly sure how many it is now, but it's somewhere between probably 15 and 35 other real estate related selling websites. So just by going there and creating this flyer, it gets out there on the internet in a lot of locations. Another thing that we do is we will place bandit signs. Those are the kind that you see on the corner everywhere. Usually you see them with We Buy Houses or that sort of thing on them. You do also see somewhere people are selling houses, and we always go around and we'll place anywhere from half a dozen to maybe about 10 in and around the area, the neighborhood of the house that's for sale, because people that are buying houses in that area will see your sign, they'll give you a call, and that's a very good way to get not only your property sold, but also to pick up, buyers that are sort of specific to areas. Some people buy only in certain areas, and that's a good way to find these people. The next thing that we talked about doing was actually putting a sign in the yard. Now, this might be a stipulation that you're prevented to do so as per the terms of your contract. Maybe the people don't want a sign in the yard. Sometimes that is, that's something you're going to have to negotiate out when you're signing your contract. So we always try to get that ability. It's written right into our contract. Sometimes we have to scratch it out, but for the most part, usually we have the ability to place a for sale sign in the yard. And we talked about the difference between a FSBO sign, a for sale by owner sign, and placing just one of our handwritten bandit signs in the yard, advertising the property, in such that the bandit sign kind of won't. Kind of the bandit sign, or I'm sorry, the FSBO sign will probably keep a lot of your wholesalers and that sort of thing away from calling you, because we all kind of know that most people that are selling property for sale by owner have overinflated expectations, and they're real hard to deal with. And the rarity of actually landing a wholesale deal through a FSBO is pretty slim. So you're going to avoid having those people call. So the bandit sign will attract those if that's who you're looking to sell to. If you want to look for a quick flip and a lower sell price, you probably want to put the bandit sign in the yard. Now, if you're looking for retail buyers and or single, 1 and 2 mom and pop investors, FSBO signs are great. For sale by owner signs are great, and you'll get a lot of calls, and you can usually sell your property obviously at a higher price with a FSBO sign than with a bandit sign. Then we talked about, talking to neighbors. Hey, go knock on some doors. Tell these people you've got this property. This is you're buying this property, and you're going to be putting it up for sale. It's got a great price on it. Maybe they have a family member that wants to live close to grandma, and a lot of times people in the neighborhood would be very interested in purchasing your property. And then we got into the biggie gold mine digging avenue for advertising your property that really helps to bring in a lot of potential buyers for your buyers list, and cost you absolutely nothing. And we talked about advertising your property on Craigslist, which I'm going to throw this back to John, let him kind of catch us up on the sort of few things that we talked about in Craigslist, and how to go about doing that.
Excellent. I'm just going to hold this up real quick. If you've got your pens and you're taking notes, which you should be, go ahead and write down these couple things I have here. Number one, there's the postlets.com. As Paul went over, you go on there. It's very simple to use, and you can put a picture and some words about the property and a description, and that'll blast that out to Zillow and a dozen or plus other sites. Craigslist.com is what I'm going to talk about here. And then if you email togetherwegrow@gmail.com, if you don't feel like putting out your own bandit signs, this guy right here is a guy locally here in Phoenix that'll put out the bandit signs for you, but not for free. Okay, so Craigslist. I absolutely love Craigslist because Craigslist is what but Paul and I used at this point almost over 2 years ago to build a buyer's list, which is still strong, powerful, and selling deals to people off this list that we built through Craigslist over a year ago. I just want to preface too, before I get into this, any ads you put out on the internet for selling a property, you want to put this phrase in there: no listing agents, please. Because you will have an overwhelming amount of listing agents calling you to list your property, and we are not looking to list a property. We want to sell it. So what I put in every ad we put out is I say, no listing agents, please. Selling agents representing a buyer are welcome, and wholesalers are welcome too, of course. Whatever can get the deal sold. Listing agents are a waste of your time, and you don't have time to be taking those phone calls and wasting your time with those listing agents. Okay, so what we do with Craigslist, and this could actually, I'm going to go over this pretty quick because this could take some time, but basically we put out 15 ads per day on Craigslist. 5 of those ads go out at 9 o'clock, 5 of those ads go out around noon, and 5 of those ads go out around 5 o'clock. Morning, noon, and evening. And the reason behind that is simply that's when Craigslist has the most traffic. What you're going to want to do to be able to put these 15 ads out every day of the week is you're going to want to set up 7 separate email accounts, because you'll need a different email account for each Craigslist account, because you'll want to set up 7 different Craigslist accounts, 1 for each day of the week. Considering if you're putting out ads every day of the week, and if you do what we're telling you to do for just 1 week, you will have a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails, and it'll get you a buyer's list. Some of the parameters is you're going to go into Craigslist, and you're going to go to real estate. You're going to go to for sale by owner, real estate for sale by owner, and you're going to simply follow the instructions and post an ad there. You're going to want to make them simple so you can get 5 out and not spend more than 10 minutes at each point in the day putting these ads out. So you're going to write up the 15 ads, because they all can basically have the same message, but they all have to be written slightly different, because if you put out 15 of the same ads, your ads will be pulled down for spamming Craigslist. They will pull them down, so they have to have different wording.
And different titles too.
Different titles as well, yes. Different content, different titles. Create that on a Word document, so you can save your 15 ads in a Word document on your desktop, in a file on your computer, however you organize yourself, and then you simply cutting the title and pasting it, and cutting the body of the ad and pasting it. We don't even put pictures on our ads. We just put titles in the body. We make it quick. We make it simple. We're not sitting there uploading pictures to Craigslist. We're going fast, simple system to spend about 30 minutes a day to place these ads. So that's the basic rundown of what we do there. What I will say, some tips and tricks to keep in mind is, personally, I don't want to put my personal cell phone number out there on Craigslist, so I used a product called Instant Customer. If you want more information about Instant Customer, we can certainly get that for you. Just give us an email at propertynoodlers@gmail.com, and we can help you set up your Instant Customer account and send you the links for there. Otherwise, if you want a free phone number for now to get started, use a Google Plus number. You can get 1 number for free. Paul and I use Instant Customer because we want multiple phone lines, because you have a lot of options for tracking, and the marketing capabilities of this product are just phenomenal. But that's actually a lesson for another time. So get yourself a Google Plus phone.
I'll be on our knowledge.
Yep. Get a Google Plus phone number, and when you put your phone number into the Craigslist ad, make sure you replace all zeros with a capital O and all ones with a capital L, or I'm sorry, a capital I, or a lowercase l. Otherwise, the spammers and the spiders and the little systems that creep and crawl through Craigslist and collect database phone numbers, you will be getting a ton of phone calls from BS. So to avoid that, there's 2 ways to avoid getting BS phone calls. No listing agents, please, and replace all zeros in your ad. Why am I holding that one up? Replace all zeros with your ad with a capital O, and all ones in your ad with a capital I or a lowercase l, and you will avoid a lot of just BS phone calls bothering you. Is there anything I'm leaving out, Paul, or that you feel like we should throw into that little Craigslist explanation?
Just going to add a couple little hints to what you talked about there. First of all, in the creation of your emails, make myself a note there. In the creation of your emails, you can very easily use the exact same email address to make it simple on you. Just put a number in there and number them 1 through 7, so that you know that Monday's a 1, Tuesday's a 2, etc., and so on. So you can use that number to easily designate your emails and keep it simple for you. So I just wanted to throw that in there. Your ads. Oh, and the ads that you write. Be creative. Don't write your basic 3-2 fixer, blah, 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 blah. Write ads that are going to be eye-catching. Write titles that are going to be eye-catching. Write ads from the perspective of a desperate homeowner. That's going to attract the eye of buyers looking for desperate homeowners. Okay? Think like your buyer when you write your ads. All right, what are they looking for? And then when you're writing them, obviously, like I said, what are they looking for? They're looking for desperate buyers, desperate sellers. So write your ads like a desperate seller. Uh, Number three is oh, I just wanted to comment. You said that we place our ads at 9, noon, and 5, right? Why do we do that? Why is that the busiest time? Especially, you're thinking, why is that the busiest time on Craigslist when, especially Monday through Friday when people are at work? Well, guess what? People at work aren't working. You know what? If you're a business owner, people are wasting your time, and at 9, noon, and 5, they're especially wasting your time because they just got there. They're farting around. They ain't paying attention to what they're doing. They're not doing what you're paying them for. And what are they doing? They're looking at Craigslist. They're doing it at noon, and they do it on their lunch hour, and their lunch hour runs an extra half an hour long, and they're looking at Craigslist. And they do it at 5 o'clock. They start looking at 4:30 because they're getting off at 5. They got nothing left to do. They're looking at Craigslist, and that's an hour and a half of your time that you're paying them for that they're just wasted on Craigslist. And that's why it's so busy. That's why we place the ads then. Okay. So, the other thing is the phone numbers. If you don't have a 0 or a 1 in your phone number, which it's likely that you're probably going to, but it could be possible that you don't, spell out a number. Pick a 2 or something and write out 2. 54TWO. Whatever it is. So just do something to avoid having all numbers in your phone number, or like John says, you will get spider robot automated. You'll get a whole bunch of automated BS calls is what you'll get, and they're just annoying as all get out. So I just wanted to throw those extra little tips onto the basics that you threw out there, John.
Yes, and then there's one more website, though, if you've got a little time, which me and Paul do not have, is Backpage.com. I don't personally use Backpage.com anymore, but when we began building our buyers list a couple years ago, we would use Backpage, and we've had a few phone calls. Though Backpage, you've probably never even heard of it, most of you, does not have even a fraction of the traffic that Craigslist gets. So with that being said, I'd like to just throw in, another thing is if you're new into wholesaling and you don't have a property under contract yet, you might want to put out dummy ads. Make up a property. I've got a 3-2 in the so-so area, blah, blah, blah. And when somebody calls looking to buy that property, be like, yeah, we just sold it, but I'm a wholesaler, and finding properties is what I do. And what's your buying criteria? What are you looking for? So you can use any one of these. Well, maybe not the post list because you have to have a specific address that you're advertising for sale. But use Craigslist to start building your buyers list, even if you don't have a property. Just put out, dummy ads about a property, because that's another thing in Craigslist. I recommend that you never ever put the physical property address in Craigslist, especially if it's a vacant home, and be careful of Craigslist because there's a lot of scam artists through Craigslist. You don't want to advertise a vacant home for sale on Craigslist ever with an address. Think about how many people look at Craigslist, and you are just opening up some thief or some person to go, hey, this property's vacant. Let me go strip the copper and the pipes out of this house. It hasn't happened to us because of that, but I'm sure it's happened to other people because of that. So I would recommend not putting your address in your ads. Of course, if you're going to do postlets, that's a different story, but never put the address in Craigslist. I'm sure Paul would agree with that. We never do. Plus, it allows you to build a database of buyers for a general idea about a property in a general price range rather than a specific property. So you'll gain a lot more buyers. And again, you want to database these buyers. Paul and I, if you contact us, can get you set up with a product that can database your buyers, so you can do text, because there's a lot of other methods to advertising property than just the stuff that Paul and I went over. But that, like I said, that's for another lesson. But you're going to want to begin to gather and capture these phone numbers and these email addresses and put these people on a list that you can send them all your future deals as well. With that being said, I think we pretty much run out of time here, and so I'm going to toss it back to Paul for a final thought, and he can go ahead and close us out.
That is so amazing that we have run 26 minutes already. Okay, doubling back. Yeah, don't ever put an address in the ad for a couple reasons. Number one, you want these people to call you because you want to talk to these people because you want to find out who they are, what they're buying, where they're at. You put an address in there, they might just do a drive-by and you never get a phone call and you don't know who they are and you don't have their address and you don't have their phone number and all of that. So you want these calls from these buyers, so you don't put an address in there. You just put a phone number that so they can call you and you can build your buyers list. This whole program right here, like John said, dummy ads. If you're getting started out here and you just want to, and you're just, you're looking to try to, while you're out there doing some, doing some marketing and trying to find a deal, why not try to attract some buyers so that should you land a deal, I say should you because if you're not a noodler, there's a high chance of probability that you won't. But so should you land a deal, you just might have some buyers already on a list that you can send an email to or make a few phone calls to and maybe get your property sold. So with the dummy ads in Craigslist, that's great. You can also put dummy ads out on bandit signs. You can put some dummy bandits out and get some phone calls that way too. I would suggest, obviously, if you're going to put out dummy bandits, put them in the prospect area where you're sending out your marketing. Kind of makes sense, right? Just some things to think about there. Obviously, you're not going to be able to do any dummy ads on a FSBO sign in somebody's yard unless unless somebody's willing to let you do that. But that's not one we ever did. Like you said, you can't do it on post lists because you need specific addresses. You're not going to be able to talk to neighbors or do anything like that with dummy ads either. But bandit signs on Craigslist, you can put dummy ads out on those and just make them generic. Hey, 3-2 fixer. This is where you want to put those boring, generic, dumb ads that you're not going to put on Craigslist when you really have a property. This is where you're going to put the boring, dopey, 3-2 fixer. Give me a call, cheap, whatever. But and then what was the other thing that you just talked about? Shoot, it slipped my mind. And one other little tip there.
Not putting the addresses in, using this to databasing your buyers.
Oh, right. And also too, you mentioned the back page. There's also there's countless classified ad sites out there, free classified ad sites out there. You could spend a weekend and go through and place 100 classified ads if you wanted to, and just put it out there all over the internet, all over the world. You never know where you might get a phone call from. So I just wanted to throw that out there, and all you got to do is Google free classified ad sites, and you'll get a list as long as your leg. So that's no problem there. And then as far as indexing your buyers, now that you're getting calls and whatnot, you want to database this, and you want to keep track of these people. You want to know what their phone numbers are, what they buy, where they buy, what their email address is. You want to be able to get the word out to them. So having a database and indexing your buyers is going to be a key element to your business. Like John said, there's a product that we use that we really like. Actually, we have our buyers index in a couple of different locations, and you could actually get started up with any one of these, depending on what your level of where you want to start at is. But anyway, with that, we'll get into that maybe a little bit further on Wednesday, but we are out of time. So just want to say that you want to build a buyer's list, do it for free. Don't go out and, you don't have to spend a lot of money to do that. There's other ways to build your buyer's list that, we can show you that it's not free, but it's not expensive. A little more targeted, a little more direct. Some other things that you can do, um, but really, these methods right here, with no cost out of your pocket, will take you far, get you far fast, and like I said, fits into your budget. So, with that, I'm going to end today with the Napoleon Hill prayer, as we always do, which says, "O universe, I ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom, with which to make better use of the riches given to me at birth, consisting of the power to control and direct my own mind to whatever end I might desire," which that would be to noodle properties to become wealthy, healthy, and wise. Goodbye, everybody.